Yeah, certainly from an outsider's perspective, I getting to see all the cool stuff on my Instagram feed, which is so much different now than it was back when Hubble was launched, which of course was probably my first real introduction to this. And you
Yeah.
see pictures every now and again and be wowed, so that I can have fresh pictures from Mars on my phone every morning.
Yeah. Adam,
Uh,
since you mentioned Hubble, I will mention one other thing that happened with SuperCam, and that is that and I didn't mention the COVID, so let's come back to that as well. But in 2019, or late 2018, actually, in the final stages of assembling SuperCam, we had a terrible thing happen where there was an accident that actually destroyed almost all of the mast unit optics. And we had to rebuild very quickly, and this was on the French side, so it was really to their credit that they pulled it all together. But the news of the accident went way high to NASA's leadership and the French space leadership. But what we found at the very same time is that there was a problem with the mirror. And so we couldn't just take the flight spare mirror of SuperCam and assemble it like we're doing with all the other flight spare parts. And this was like a Hubble-like flaw. It worked well at room temperature, and then it didn't work well at the Mars temperature. And so we were scratching our heads, what are we going to do? But we got two companies to make brand new mirrors within the space of about 6 weeks. And so we used one of those two mirrors. It was like a race between two companies. And so we put that mirror in, and it worked perfectly. And so in effect, that accident allowed us the time while rebuilding to get that new mirror built. And because of that, SuperCam has actually much better optics than its predecessor did. And so, because of that Hubble-like flaw that we discovered, we were able to do actually higher resolution imaging on SuperCam than we actually expected. And you're going to see the results of that.
well, that's a happy kind of accident, isn't it? Then.
Yeah.
Uh,
And
I,
then with COVID, you were asking, and so about a year ago now, we're recording this in March of 2021. Of course, all of us went into almost hibernation, and fortunately for us, our instruments were all delivered to the rover, and we had just finished in January most of the final tests of our instrument on the rover. And so in January, Perseverance actually got shipped to the Cape, January 2020, and it was there when COVID struck. And so at that point, it was up to the ground crew at Kennedy and the JPL people that were still working out there to get everything finished, to see whether this could actually make it during the COVID pandemic. And we had our doubts about this time of year last year, whether it was going to make it. And then we went through a good time where a lot was happening in late April and May. And then in June, there were concerns for the launch. Launch date slipped a bit, but it stayed within the window that we have to get it, or the period, I should say, that we have to get it launched to Mars. And so it was the last of the 3 spacecraft that went to Mars in this launch period, but it got there, and it got there in an excellent way, as we've seen from all the descent pictures. So again, a success story, and thanks to all the brave people that worked on this.